Is now the right time to buy a home, or should you wait for a better deal? On today's episode, we're cutting through the hype and guesswork to break down practical strategies for identifying the perfect moment in the market. So stay tuned. These insights could save you thousands and help you secure the perfect home at just the right time. I'm here with Terry Henderson, realtor extraordinaire from Brevard County. How you doing, Terry?
I'm doing great, Joe. How are you?
Good. Hey, I wanted you to come on this episode because I know you have really good insights on timing the market and what that's all about, really. So I just thought you'd be a good person to have on.
Well, I don't know how good I am at timing the market.
Right.
I have feelings about timing the market. I think if you're an investor, timing the market's very important. I think if you're looking for your home, the one you're going to be in for a while,
right,
it's less about timing the market and finding the right home.
I couldn't agree more. So really, how much does timing the market really matter when you're buying a home?
So, I mean, you can look at data going back 100 years, right? Just this morning when I learned what we were talking about, I looked up, the S&P Case-Shiller. It's one of those things when you look at it in a graphic, you see that the market just continually goes up. Yeah. There are blips in it. In 2008 we had a blip, and you might have another blip. But again, if you're hanging on 5, 7, 10, 15 years, you're not going to get hurt. You're pretty much going to be protected, and historical data will back that up.
Right.
So when I'm talking with my clients, I let them know, look, I'm not looking to time the market. And, if you are, you might put yourself at a disadvantage if you're so focused on that and not as focused on finding the right home.
Yeah, I mean, look at the last couple of years. 3 years ago, we had clients that said, well, I'm going to wait till the market goes down and crashes.
Yeah.
They tried to time the market. How'd that work out for them?
There's one specific client that I have. He was a neighbor of mine. He's like, oh, market's going down, market's going down, market's going down. And I still see he gets my emails and he views them. And I wonder, where I don't want to be the guy that said, I told you so.
Right.
Now, and there's different factors, right? I mean, there's economic factors that are more global and national, but then we have kind of the issues going on in our local community. For me, I'm very bullish on our community.
Right.
I've been here since the early 80s. I've seen it grow. I wondered what took so long for everyone else to find out what an amazing place it is. And now it doesn't seem, when I first started real estate, I used to use as a marketing line that Brevard County is the best kept secret in America. Well, I don't say that anymore because it's not a secret.
Right. The secret's out.
Yeah.
You mentioned factors. So what factors should I look at if I'm looking to buy a home in the area? What factors should I be considering when trying to time the market or even buying a home?
So it depends on what you're looking for, right? I mean, a lot of it's lifestyle, whether it's, you want to have more amenities and different things. Maybe you're going out towards the Vieira area, whereas, when I moved here, that was a cow pasture.
Right.
Or, maybe you like getting outdoors and you like doing beachy things, and then you look at beachside. And then we have everything in between. You and I were just talking off camera about South Brevard and like the US 1 Grant Valcaria area.
Growth area.
And it's an area for growth. There's no doubt about it. So I think a lot of it just depends on your lifestyle and what you're looking for. And we have it for just about whatever it is you want to do.
So for those people that are saying, hey, I'm waiting for the market to go down for a better deal, what do you say to those people?
It's, you might be waiting a while. I mean, maybe you get that blip. Maybe you get lucky and get that blip, but it's kind of like shorting the market. You know what I mean? It's like
it's a gamble.
It's a gamble. And how much are you going to lose in trying to time it?
Right.
Because think about, I'm not a crypto guy. I don't really follow it, but it's like, hey, when's a good time to buy Bitcoin?
Right now.
Right now.
All-time high right now. That's not financial advice. But you raise a good point. I mean, the price of homes over time historically has gone up. Doesn't mean it's going to do that forever. I can't predict the future. But I can say that historically, looking back, over time, depending on your time frame, if your time frame is 1 year, maybe buying a home isn't for you.
Correct.
But if your time frame's 3, 5, 7 years, like you said, typically, historically speaking, we haven't had a period other than maybe 2008, 9, and 10 that we went down over time, right? But even if you bought your house in 2007, right, height of the market, today you would still have appreciation in that home.
So I'm glad you brought that up. So I bought my first house in 2006.
Okay.
And I put 20% down. So I found myself at, kind of beginning stages of my career, varying success. And because I put the 20% down, I was always protected and I could keep the house and still get rent from it if I needed to, right? So I was protected because I put that 20% down. Now, you don't always have to put 20% down, so you can put 5, whatever. But I chose to put 20 down. So I was always protected with rent. 2008 happened, was upside down, but I was still protected. I ended up moving back home. This house happened to be in Orlando. And then I moved back home and it did well. And then, a couple of years later, I think I ended up selling it in 2022. And I did really, really well on it.
Real well.
I did really well on it. And it's just
awesome.
because I hung on to it. So again, you can time the market or you can understand what you have there as an asset. And I know, Guy Kawasaki will say it's not an asset, but it really is, man. It's working for you whether you realize it or not.
Right.
And when again, if you find yourself in a position where you have to rent it, someone else is paying that for you. So it's a good asset to maintain.
Look, I need a place to live, right? And it's like, where am I going to put my money over here? Am I going to put it over here, right? Every time I make a mortgage payment, there's principal that's going into the equity of my home that I can access either through refinancing or selling the home or through an equity line. There's ways to access that equity, and it's there for me if I absolutely need it, right? So look, what about, there's been a lot of talk of interest rates lately.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people were saying the last year, I'm going to wait for rates to go down. What do you have to say to those people or that piece of timing the market?
So there's two different philosophies here, right? You can wait for that interest rate to come down. Now, we have no idea when or if that rate is going to come down.
We've been saying it for 3 years.
We've been saying it for 3 years.
Right.
So a lot of times, they're right in their predictions as to what the rate is eventually going to do, but they are not right as to when it's going to do it.
Well, absolutely.
So it's a matter of, okay, I'm going to wait for this rate and then it's affordable, but what's going to happen when that affordable rate happens? What is going to happen to the inventory?
Everyone we've talked to that said, I'm going to wait till rates come down, they're all going to enter the market at the same time.
So now we have a run on the inventory that we have, and
Right.
now we're going to be back in that whole scenario where everyone's bidding on houses. You got 5, 6, 7 offers. Now we're driving the price and the values back up.
Yep.
Whereas now you can get the home you want. And right now, and I'm telling buyers all the time, just throw out an offer. Just see what happens. Maybe you're not in the ballpark and they're like, yeah, thanks, but no thanks.
Right.
Fine. Now move on to the next house. The inventory is kind of high right now.
Is it high?
It's pretty high it's back to normal levels. Let's just say that.
Yeah, I was going to say, I thought that, we're still in a 3 to 6 month inventory.
I'm talking about the last 3 years. It's
Higher
high.
as comparison.
Yes.
But to your point,
Yeah.
the inventory is still historically moderate or medium to low.
Right.
And might be higher than it was a couple of years ago, but we still don't have enough inventory. There's still not enough options.
Correct.
And those options are going to go down further when the rates drop.
See, and I'm just basing that off of, this was it was a free-for-all for a while, right? You'd hit the market. There was, you had to advertise coming soon for weeks because, all right, here's my list of people that are interested and that are waiting to get in the door. Now you're collecting. We had to create spreadsheets to go, all right, here are all the factors and the offers that you're getting. And here, this one's cash, this one's conventional, this one's closing this time, all of the different variables so that a seller could go through and sift through what the best and most protected offer was. And they were just driving it up. So, my feeling, and I'm practicing what I preach, we bought a house just in the last year. We got the house we wanted, right? We can afford it. Right? I don't love the rate that I'm paying right now, and I don't plan on paying that rate forever.
Hopefully not.
But I got the house I want, and I plan on being there a long time. And so those are the two philosophies. Are you going to wait for everyone else and then bid on the house that maybe you're not crazy about and you really don't want, but you got to get a house? Or do you want to get the house you want now? You're protected. I'm not saying go after the house right now and overextend yourself. If you can afford it, get it now, and then let's see if those rates come down in the next year or two.
Yeah, we talk about, affordability, right? But what's the cost of paying more for that house in the future versus the interest rate?
Exactly.
You know? And so, like you said, I can afford this house now at this rate, at this payment, and if the rates do go down, well, now you're going to have a surprise to the your upside by refinancing, getting a lower payment. And that's just going to be gravy for you,
Not only that, Joe, but all right, so now you bought this house. Now everyone's making a run on all the other houses. What's property values doing in that time?
They're going up.
They're going up. So now you bought it at a time where you're paying a higher rate, but now you bought it at a point where now you have equity in your home.
And what doesn't make sense to me, and I'm going to go off on a tangent here, but what doesn't make sense to me is the people that are renting saying I'm trying to time the market, because every month they're paying someone else's mortgage.
They're just flushing that money down the toilet.
And then your price isn't locked in. The rate increases, every so often you're going to have rate increases.
Correct.
You can't control your pricing. When you buy a home, you lock in that price for as long as you have that.
You can
home.
budget that from there on out.
Correct.
Yep.
We talk about trends of seasonality trends. What trends do you see impacting the housing market? Are there some times of the year that are better to buy than others, or?
I think those factors kind of affect other markets more so than our market because of the weather here and everything else. Now, I do think our inventory is highest in the late spring, summer. So you'll have more opportunity to buy more homes at that time. I kind of think you can get a better deal right about now.
Yeah,
a lot of people try to get that purchase. And, hey, I want to unload this before the end of the tax year and that sort of thing. So again, it just varies on the individual buyer. Do you want more inventory and see what happens, or do you kind of want a better deal? I think it's less a factor in Brevard County than it might be in like New England or something like that. But there are changes seasonally, but they're nominal.
Yeah, well, I mean, we look at typically first quarter and fourth quarter are slower. And I would assume that in a slower market, you might be able to get a better deal or negotiate a better closing time, closing costs, things like that versus, summer people tend to move in the summer because kids are out of school. The base, they typically transfer people in the summertime. But that's not we've been busy year round sometimes. It just depends on the
just depends
market.
on the year.
Yeah.
So traditionally, I'm slowest around September, October, but then I've had some years where those were my busiest months.
Crazy, right? Yeah, it just depends.
Yeah.
So, any strategies or final thoughts on advice you might give someone that says, "I want to time the market"?
I just like I said, I wouldn't. I would just find the home, find the right home, the one that works for you and your family. Can you afford it? And if that's what it is, then make an offer and see if you can come to an agreement. This is also a market of compromise a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
So I think, in years past, sometimes the back and forth could get a little contentious. That's not going to work in your favor in this market. I think you really have to be able to compromise with the buyer or seller. And if you're able to navigate that, I think by and large, you're going to come up with the home you want.
So the first thing is just find the right home.
Yeah.
So maybe people have more time to find the right home. And when they find the right home, if you can afford that home, if rates come down in the future, great, you'll benefit. But you've locked in that home price. You're in the home you want to be in, most importantly. And you weren't in a rush or a panic because you know how, as humans, the FOMO factor of 2020 and 2021 of, I need to buy a house right now, panic, and then you buy a house you may or may not want.
Right.
Now you can take the time to buy the house you want.
Yes.
And then, there's find the right house.
That's a position I would prefer to be in.
Right.
Like I said, I put my money where my mouth is because that's the position I put myself in.
Yeah. And you got a great place and a great neighborhood. So
I love it.
Well, look, thanks for joining us today, Terry. Thank you so much for your insights. Very, very awesome. If you have any questions, put them down below. Don't forget to subscribe to all the things the kids say to do. And we'll see you next time. Thanks for joining us today,
Thanks,
Terry.
Joe.
See you soon.